Okay, good. Oh, we've got a group. We've got a whole group of people. Columbia. She was in Columbia and it was excellent. Oh, Morgan's here too. Awesome. Hi, Morgan. Okay, everyone's here. I think it's time to start. Hey, guys, we're going to talk about Skoolie budgets. And I know a number of people in this live stream have probably, I know Emily, I'm sure you guys have started thinking about budgets. Morgan, I'm sure you've thought about budgets. So I hope that everyone will give me lots of feedback and opinions. But I'm going to share my original budget. Let me find it here. I will share it in a blog. I'll post a link to the blog post below, and I'll include this this budget in that blog post so you can see it if anyone cares to see it. This is it. It was pretty basic. I thought I had done a masterful plan or a masterful job of thinking of everything that could possibly come up. And the moral of this whole video is going to be that I hadn't. I hadn't thought of everything that could come up. I had thought of a lot of things. I even factored in what I called an idiocy fee to account for my mistakes, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So first of all, I have a list of my advice for creating your Skoolie budget. We're also going to talk about some other things. We're also going to do some giveaways. We've got some t-shirts to give away. So those will be fun. How do you win the t-shirts? Well, you might not want them. Wait until I've shown you. Dave says, I've heard whatever your budget is, double it. And that is, I would give that advice. I would second that advice. Doing some giveaways. How do you win the giveaways? Well, I will randomly, without looking, point to a comment from somewhere in the live stream, and that's how you will win t-shirts. So keep commenting. It was a big enough expense that I knew that I needed a budget. I knew, oh, Lewis is here too. How are you guys doing? How many devices do y'all have? Emily and her husband, Lewis, are both here. Unless it's a different Lewis. Maybe it's a different Lewis. I don't know. And is it Luis? Lewis? Luis? First piece of advice is creating a budget. I think everyone should create a budget. The only people that I wouldn't advise create a budget are those who are building a Skoolie who have way too much money on their hands and don't know how to get rid of it. Then in that case, do not create a budget for your Skoolie project. But if that is your situation, I would guess that you probably aren't going the Skoolie route. There are probably other options you could go for if you did not have money in mind. I'm her Luis or Luis. Yes, that's Luis. The Spanish way is, so Luis is the Spanish way. I think Luis is probably the Missouri way. I don't know. So I would advise everyone create a budget. There's really no reason not to, if at the very least, just to kind of give you an idea of how much you're going to end up spending, So that's my first advice. My second piece, which is obvious, so that's not really novel information, but my second piece of advice is to first find your bus and then create your budget, because there are a lot of ways to buy a bus. You can purchase a newer bus for $20,000, or you can purchase a 20-year-old bus for $6,000, or you can be super thrifty and you can buy a $6,000 20-year-old bus on eBay for $3,800, which is what I did. But I suggest figuring out your bus situation first and what you want and what you need, because that could either be half of your budget or more. And so I think that's kind of the most important, obvious first step. And there are a lot of things to take into account when you're buying your bus. Like, do you really want low mileage, which is hard to find on a used school bus? You're going to be paying a decent amount of money for a newer school bus. Do you care about mileage? Do you want a flat front bus? Do you want a rear pusher? I can't say that without laughing. A rear pusher is a bus where the engine is in the back, so they call it a rear pusher. Do you want a diesel? Are you okay with a gas engine? There's so many things to factor into your bus decision, and those things all affect the cost. So I highly suggest you first get a sense of what type of bus you want and how much it's going to cost. Okay, we've got lots of comments, so let me check in with those. Yeah, Dave said he went way over budget and he just built a small Sprinter van into a camper. Yeah, Brandy says you definitely need to budget for the unknown. We think our starter just went out. How expensive was it, Brandy? I would love to know. Laura Black, Angie, hi, both of you. Hello. Brandy. Oh yeah, so Morgan's just saying that, yeah, considering her budget, she's probably going to be using a used bus. And yeah, diesel mechanics are really expensive. My bus is in great shape mechanically. It is an older bus, but for being 20 years old, and it only has 150,000 miles on it, which for a diesel is pretty young. You know, a diesel engine should run, you know, well into the 500, 600, 700,000s and beyond. So that's relatively low mileage. But Morgan, I was definitely in the same boat. I definitely needed a used bus. Hey guys, so we're gonna take a quick break because I have gotten into the t-shirt designing game. I designed some t-shirts. I designed some Skoolie t-shirts, and this one is not yet online, so I'm going to show it to you on my phone. This is a little low rent that I'm showing you a picture from my phone. But this is the shirt. Let's see if it will show it. Like 10 cents off of them. After Monday, they're going up to the regular retail price of $21.99. So if you want these, grab them. All of the links for all of these shirts will be in the descriptions below. The description. There's just one description. It will be below. Okay. Next piece of advice is to create your floor plan, to start thinking about your floor plan, what you want, where you want it, and what that means cost-wise. Do you, how about your bathroom? What kind of toilet do you want to use? Are you going to use a conventional toilet? If you're using a conventional toilet, then we need to factor in the cost of a black water tank. You need to make sure you have the room for it. You need to factor in the cost of the mounting materials. Are you going to make that yourself? Are you going to weld that cage yourself? All of that stuff. It's kind of surprising how much your floor layout can affect your cost. So I definitely suggest doing that before you get too far in. And then the next thing that comes along with that is identifying your high cost items. So for instance, you know, when you're doing your floor plan, are you going to use a composting toilet? Excuse me. You know, a composting toilet in a lot of ways can save you a lot of expense in that you don't have to have, you don't have to plumb water to the toilet. You don't have to plumb sewage going to your black tank. But especially if you go with like a Nature's Head composting toilet, which is definitely the most popular RV composting toilet. It's one of the only compact, truly toilet-like options. So it's very expensive. I think it's $960. I'll throw a link below so you can check it out. It's kind of the gold standard of RV composting toilets, but it's $960. So, you know, if you're going for a low budget approach with like an $8,000, $10,000 budget, adding $1,000 toilet is a chunk of change. So things like that need to be thought about in advance when you're working on your budget, because, you know, DIY. Emily said DIY that SH blank T, literally. Yes, that's expensive. Morgan says I've been looking at DIY composting toilets, and since they're over $1,000 in Canada. Yeah, I've looked at DIY options as well. I may end up doing that, but I don't know. I have some cleanliness issues. Anyone who knows me very well knows that I'm kind of weird about pooping. I am very particular about pooping, and I think that's someplace where I'm not going to pinch pennies. We'll see. Am I doing a shower? Yes, I am doing a shower. I'm doing a curbless shower. Why don't I can just take you there. Do you want to come into my shower with me? I know you do. So, excuse all the mess. Earl is very messy right now. I just got back from a week away. So my shower will be right here. So right now the floor isn't there. What will happen, and it's here in this corner behind my kitchen. So this will be the shower wall. This will have, that like blur stuff on it so that nobody sees my man's stuff while I'm showering. And the way the floor is working, it's going to be a concrete curbless shower floor. A curbless shower floor means that there's no ridge, there's no bump to contain the water. So what you have to do is way overshoot with your concrete and then use a shower curtain to contain the water. So you have to fill concrete way far, well, not way far, but at least 1.5 feet past where your shower curtain is, just to make sure that the water that does splash over, it lands on the concrete and goes back down the drain. So that is my shower point, or my shower plan. Oh, Dave says the floor plan also has to take into account the balance of the bus to not be too heavy on one side. Yeah, absolutely. Especially things like water tanks. I wanted tons of water storage. So I'm using 2 45-gallon water tanks. And so those need to be distributed evenly weight-wise because, 45 gallons of water, I don't know how many pounds that weighs, but it's a lot. It's a lot of weight. And so you definitely need to take those things into account. My kitchen, most of my kitchen is on this side of the bus. So I purposefully put my bathroom, my desk on this side to counterweight, counter whatever. So that's a really good point, Dave. In general, also in Missouri, you need to worry about weight because if you go over 26,000 pounds, you are then considered, I don't know if you're considered a commercial vehicle, but you are subject to all of the laws of a commercial vehicle. So that you then need a CDL, and a lot of the different rules change. So, school buses are tanks. So it's pretty difficult, especially considering how heavy the seats are that we take out of here. It's fairly difficult to put too much weight back into the bus. But at least in Missouri, and I'm sure some other states, because Missouri is one of the more lax states, in some states you need to be conscious of not going over that 26,000 pound threshold, because then you suddenly find yourself with a whole lot more red tape. Ooh, David Scott doing some math fast. 45 gallons of water is 375 pounds. Thanks. That's good to know. Where were we? Got distracted with my shower. I don't know. Let's get back on the list. Oh, identifying high cost items. The last thing I was going to mention was solar. If you are installing solar, will you save money in the long run by not having to stay in campgrounds? Yes, very quickly. In fact, solar, staying out of campgrounds for, I don't remember, I did the math, I think it was 300 days or something like that, will compensate for the cost of your solar system. That being said, my solar system, and I screwed it up, you're going to find out in videos, I think I might have to repurchase around $1,500 of batteries. So we'll get to that at some point when my solar videos are ready to go. but my solar system was around $3,500. Excuse me. Could I have done it smaller? Yes, but I use a lot of electronics. I rely on them for work, and so that was a solar system that I felt confident having, and it was a chunk of change. It was a chunk of change that I had to figure into my budget. Okay, Dave. Dave says, can you drive on your normal license? In the UK, you have to have a passenger driving license or heavy goods license. So, Dave, it depends on the state. In the US, every state makes their own laws. California, for instance, their laws are very, very stringent. In Missouri, they are not as stringent. In Missouri, as long I can have it retitled as an RV. I can have it retitled as an RV as long as all of the seats have been taken out other than the driver's seat so that I cannot transport passengers. Of course, people can ride in my Skoolie, but not in like a school bus transport passenger kind of way. So the seats have to be taken out. And then in order for it to be retitled as an RV, it has to have, I think it's 3 or 4 items out of the list of RV amenities. So bathroom facilities, cooking facilities, heat and air, sleeping quarters. There's this list of those types of items, and the bus has to have, again, I can't remember, 3 or 4 of those items to qualify as an RV. If it is titled as an RV, I do not need any license other than a regular driver's license in order to drive it, as long as the weight is under 26,000 pounds. So, excuse me, guys, getting over some allergies. So in Missouri, those are the laws. Now, my bus has air brakes, which are the same type of brakes that like a semi has. And they require a little bit of extra knowledge to know how to safely use them. In Missouri, it doesn't matter. But in some states, the fact that my bus has air brakes would immediately require me to have a commercial driver's license because I would have to be tested on the air brakes to make sure I knew how to use them. Again, Missouri, I don't, but a lot of states, yes. A lot of people are very purposeful in where they build and license their Skoolie because of this, because there's some pretty big differences in the laws from state to state. But at least in Missouri, those are the laws. So that's the plan. Okay, we got some more comments. Morgan said, I've heard that Skoolies aren't welcome in some parks too. I assume you mean like RV parks. And yeah, I haven't experienced it, obviously, because I'm not on the road yet, but I have definitely heard that. I have heard that that is a constant problem. And you know what? I don't know. I don't totally think that doesn't make me as mad as it makes some people. You know what? Like, my Skoolie is going to look pretty sharp. I'm pretty stoked about how he's going to look when it's done. But you know what? If I had $1 million RV and I had paid, $80 plus to stay in a nice campground or a nice campground resort with a beautiful view, I kind of get that I might not want a dilapidated school bus with hippie flowers spray painted on it parked next to me. So it is frustrating because I hope my Skoolie is super sharp and attractive, but yeah, I think that is the case. I've heard that a lot of parks do not allow Skoolies. Oh, sorry, I'm talking too much. I can't keep up with the comments. One second. Yes, Dave, once you're licensed, you can drive anywhere in the United States, and it depends on the state that you're licensed in. So those are the rules you have to follow. Now, that's not all the rules, but it's confusing, Dave. The US doesn't do anything easy. I could still get a ticket in other states, but if I fought it, I would win because at the end of the day, I have to follow the rules in the state where my vehicle is licensed. Does that mean that I'm not going to get a ticket, that I'm not going to get stopped? No, but that's the law, apparently, from what I understand. Yeah, Emily. Yeah, Sorry, I read someone else asked the same thing. Yes. As long as I am following the rules in my state in which my Skoolie is licensed, I should be good to go. Again, another state could give me a ticket. It's actually happened to my family before. My dad moved me to New York City, and in Missouri, you only have to have a license plate in the back. Yeah, you only have to have a license plate in the back. And he got 2 tickets in New York City for not having a license plate in the front. And he fought them, and he won, because in Missouri, we don't have to have a license plate in the front, just in the back. So that's an example of what I'm talking about. He still got a ticket. He still had to fight them, but in the end, he won and didn't have to pay them. So it worked out with a little bit of a hassle. The same goes for painting. Some states, you cannot have a yellow school bus if you are not using the school bus for hauling school students and you work for a school. Some states, they don't care. So you'll see yellow schoolies, and then you'll see non-yellow schoolies. And again, it just depends on your state. Apparently, Vermont is very lax. That's what I hear. Missouri is pretty lax, but apparently Vermont is super, super lax. So go build your Skoolie in Vermont. Okay, where was I? Oh, I'm still not done with identifying high-cost items. So the last thing is your towed vehicle. If you're going to pull a vehicle behind you, this one really snuck up on me. I totally forgot to account for that when I worked on my budget, and it's expensive. It's expensive. Especially, if you're going to do a tow dolly with just the 2 front wheels on a little, trailer. A new one with brakes is like $1,500. The equipment for towing your vehicle with all 4 wheels down is also not cheap. I think it was like $1,500, $2,000. And then you have to have it installed as well. And then you have holes in the front bumper of your car. So if the person buying your car isn't planning to tow it, that's going to knock down the value. So that's a great example of another thing that I did not account for when making my initial budget. Okay. Let's talk about Patreon. I have 2 of my patrons in here right now. I have Emily and Morgan, 2 of my patrons. They're in here right now, and they enjoy perks like they get to see the videos the day before they hit YouTube. They get to watch them without commercials. They occasionally get hit up for advice on t-shirts. Like earlier this week when I picked their brain for t-shirt ideas. You too can be part of the club. I think $2 a month is the first level. It's so easy. It's so easy. So fun. Okay. The next thing is itemizing all costs. My next piece of advice is itemizing all costs. And let me get back to my budget, because I thought that I was really catching everything. And I wasn't. I wasn't at all. Let's find an example. Okay. All right. So, kitchen. I itemized out the mini fridge, $250. Cabinets, $50. That was so dumb. That was the dumbest. $50 for cabinets, which I didn't end up buying pre-made cabinets. I'm doing my own. But the lumber alone for this cabinet framing for the kitchen was like, I don't know, probably $100. And that's not even counting like the drawer hardware and all of that stuff. Like the cabinets are easily going to be, all told, I mean, I wanted for an item. Stove and convection oven. $182. I don't know where I got that number. I clearly had an oven in mind, but it was not that. I love my oven. I'll show you my oven. My oven is awesome. It's a convection toaster oven. I highly recommend it. It's so flippin' cool. But it was more than $182, I think. And also, I did not account for my induction plates. I'm going to have 2 induction plates. I haven't accounted for tons of stuff. So that was so dumb that that's the only appliance that I budgeted for. Like, what? So dumb. Countertops, $60. Again, hilarious. The lumber alone for these countertops was probably at least $60, which is not super expensive, but I'm using at least 2 bags, so that's another like $70. So the bottom line is I was really short-sighted in comprehensively thinking about all of the costs that would be incurred with this stuff. I did put a $100 idiocy fee. That's what I call it. I called it an idiocy fee. And I put it in every category. And that was my kind of allotment for mistakes. But I knew I was going to make stupid mistakes, but I did not realize I was going to make quite this many stupid mistakes. So you know what? I would add at least 50% onto your budget to account for mistakes and screw ups and all the crap that you think you know how to do, you don't, or you're going to mess it up and you're going to have to redo it and it's going to cost a lot of monies. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one who has no idea what he's doing. Oh, there's so many comments. Okay, let me catch up. I was really yakking there for a while. Oh man. Yeah, some of the nicer parks don't allow buses or even old RVs. Yeah, Morgan's trying to go off grid. So, oh, yeah, love the restore. Oh, my friend Terry. Yeah, don't worry, Terry. It'll be online later. Morgan, please post a link for that oven. Oh, I will. I'll post a link for the oven. The oven's awesome. I actually have a friend who is a chef, a like 8-time published chef, cookbook published, and she does a lot of catering, and she actually uses this exact oven when she caters. It does a really awesome job. It has a deep back, so you can cook like up to a 12-inch pizza. It fits a 9x13 casserole dish. It is awesome. Really big fan, and it was perfect for this. Perfect for a Skoolie. Okay. Let's talk about another t-shirt. And let's give one away. How about that? Okay. T-shirt number 2. Well, let's show 2 of them. So this is the first one. This is t-shirt number 1. This t-shirt just has, it says Skoolie Life. Oh man, you can't see these very well. Post photos. And it's in the shape of a school bus, and it's a word cloud. It's like Skoolie Life, travel, dirt roads, DIY, fresh air, minimalism, open road. A few of the Earl project logos are thrown in there. So there's that one. There's that t-shirt by itself. And then there is another t-shirt that has an added line underneath it, which says Skoolie Life, because I'm an adult who still wants to do naughty things in the back of a school bus. So let's give one of these shirts away before we wrap up. Okay, let's give one away. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm just scrolling through. I'm not looking. I'm scrolling through, and I'm going to point at a comment, and whoever left that comment is going to be the big winner. Morgan! Morgan! You've got a t-shirt. Morgan, you know how to get in touch with me. Tell me which t-shirt you want. Tell me the size and where I should send it. All right? And I'll get your t-shirt off in the mail. Woohoo! Oh, hey, congrats. Oh, well, there will be more. Morgan says, you know that I need the back of the bus one. Well, I didn't know, but I had a hunch. Okay, I think I have one more thing, and then let's wrap this up. I've really done a lot of talking. Okay, these are kind of no-brainers, but 7. double it, double your budget, which might be a little overkill, but why not be safer rather than sorry? Whatever your budget is, it is going to be so much more. I hit my budget a long time ago, a long time ago. And I'm, a little bit over a year into building my Skoolie, which I was gone for 4 months and I work like 40 to 60 hours a week. So it's fine. That's what happens if you can't devote all your time to building your bus. But double it. Be safe. And last, do not forget about, I'm calling them etc. items, but things that you might not think about until you're getting nearer to finishing your bus. Things like outdoor stuff, for instance, like a backup camera. I was able to find a backup camera for just a little over $100. That's awesome. But still, that was $100 that I hadn't planned for. Even like finishing things like faucets and shower heads. I mean, that stuff can add up to a couple $100 very quickly. Knobs, drawer pulls, things like that. You really can't forget those things. Tools. I'm really lucky. I have almost every tool I could possibly need at my disposal. Big Jack, who you've all seen in many of my videos, I mean, he is the handiest of men, and he has almost everything. So that has saved me a gazillion dollars. But if you don't have those, you have to allot for those. And some things he doesn't have, and I didn't really plan for them. I just didn't. And foolishly, I just didn't. So let's talk about my totals. My original total... My original total was $11,017. That is what I originally budgeted for Earl. Well, that was wrong. Luckily, most of the major purchases are out of the way. I don't have any like super expensive things left to buy other than the toilet. Now I'm mostly into finishing. I just have to get the wiring in and the plumbing in, and then Earl's going to go very quickly. I'll be ready for walls and floors and things like that. But I would say, 11,000 was my original budget. I'm probably going to end up at least 20,000, probably over. I'm already well over 11,000. So I wish I'd kept like better numbers so I could tell you exactly. Like I have currently spent $18,317.22, but I haven't. I just haven't done that. But I know that I've spent at least 15 to 18,000 so far, and I've got more to go. I've got a decent chunk of change to put into this yet. So if you take anything away from this whole... Oh, Dave asked what the bus cost. Dave, my bus cost $3,800. It should have been more, but actually, it's my first 2 videos. I tell the whole story of me finding and buying my bus. The first 2 videos on my channel talk about that in better detail. But I got a deal. I lucked out, which it's not that hard to luck out. But I found a bus dealer who was desperate to get rid of this bus, and he was selling it on eBay. And I happen to be a master at purchasing items on eBay. I always win. I literally have never lost an eBay auction. Anyway. I'll stop tooting my own horn, but I got a good deal. My bus should have been like $5,000 to $6,000. But it's your home, so it's worth it. Yes, all of those things. Okay, if you take anything away from this video, it is to way overestimate your budget. All right, overestimate your budget. Real quickly, before we go, I have a few user-submitted questions, so I want to give them a quick answer. Let's see. Okay, first one. What did you base your projected budget off of? Well, I guess I kind of already answered that. I kind of went through every category. And again, I'll post the silly, ridiculous actual budget in the blog post, which once I get it written, I'll put it in the comments or in the description below. What took the majority? Probably solar. I think my solar system, well, other than the bus. Well, actually, my solar system was almost as much as the bus. And if I do have to replace items from the solar mistake that I think I might have made, my solar system will be more than the bus. So that's the biggest ticket item. But I think that other than that, I don't think I had any purchases over $1,000. The toilet is going to be the next one, and you guys are kind of convincing me to do my own. The thing I'm worried about are visitors. I don't mind crapping in a 5-gallon bucket with a toilet seat duct taped to the top of it, but I don't want people who visit to be uncomfortable. So I'm trying to, and I know that's not the only solution. I know that I can build a wooden, I don't know. We'll get into that. We've got a whole slew of composting. My nephew calls my composting toilet the adult litter box. So we'll have lots of adult litter box videos to come. Don't you worry. I'm real weird about pooping, so I will obsess over this composting toilet situation. We just haven't gotten there yet. Okay, next question. This one's from Laura. Did you have to take a loan out for any of your budget? No, I didn't. I saved for what I thought was my budget, but then I ran out of my budget. And so I've just been buying things as I'm going and working along the way. I don't know what kind of loan you would take out. You couldn't get a home loan for something like this. I guess you just have to take a personal loan. I don't know. I've never taken a loan out, so I don't know how that works. I didn't take it out. And so the next part of this question is, if so, how did you classify it to get it approved? And I don't know how you would do that, because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't qualify for a home loan. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know that. Are any future travels incorporated into your budget? No. Everything I'm talking about today, that's a great question. Everything I've talked about today, budget-wise, is just construction and getting this thing ready to hit the road. Nothing in my budget is in reference to living in the bus and traveling in the bus. That is a whole different discussion, which we'll get into. I'm lucky to have an awesome work from home job, and so we will definitely talk about travel budgets. Like, how do you travel full time and pay your bills? We'll definitely talk about that. But no, none of the travel expenses are included in this budget. And the last thing is, what is your financial advice for those looking to do this? I think my financial advice is just to overshoot your budget by a lot and have a plan for either saving or borrowing or acquiring the money. And I wish I would have saved just a little bit longer with our Skoolies, and it seems like it all goes so smoothly. It's so unrealistic. Yeah, it really is. I mean, you know what? If you are a construction pro, if this is your thing, then awesome, it's going to go great. But the whole reason I've made these silly videos is because I'm those things, and I know there are a lot, or I think there are a lot of normal people out there who have skills, but not these skills, who could totally do this. Me, I don't have these skills, but I knew I could totally do this. I could totally figure it out. So hopefully the whole point of me making these videos is that hopefully, there's somebody out there who's like, I don't really know how to do this. I don't know if I can, I don't know if I should. And they can watch me and be like, okay, cool. So I'm going to make an ass out of myself. Oh, can I say that on YouTube? I'm going to make a fool out of myself, but I can do it. So hopefully this encourages people who are on the fence, if it's the right choice for them to pull the trigger. And I don't know what this pull, starting a lawnmower, pull the trigger and build a Skoolie. Okay. Oh, Emily said we get a computer fan to vent it to the outside of the bus. I think she's talking about the 5-gallon bucket with a toilet seat lid duct taped to the top of it to vent the smell out. I don't know. Is that what you're talking about, Emily? Oh, and then Dave said he's learned a lot by building and making mistakes. Yeah, I think it's the best way to learn. And the cool thing about building this all from the ground up is that I know how everything works. You know, if I bought an RV and I had an electrical problem, I would have no flippin' clue where to even start. I don't know anything. But in this, like if a switch goes bad, I know where the wiring is. I'm the one who wired it. I can, I'll know how to do almost everything. The only thing I won't know how to the only thing I won't understand is the bus mechanics, like the engine and all the components of the bus. And we'll get to that, but I'm thinking about doing like a very like light-handed like mechanic course. Not like I'm going to become a diesel mechanic, but just a general like maintenance, just like, hey, like this is how they work. This is how you change your own oil. It's so expensive to have the oil changed on a bus, like over $100. I can do that myself. I just have to have somebody show me how, and then I can totally do it. Yeah, and Dave said YouTube saved my sanity loads of times. I basically everything I've done, I've learned how to do on YouTube. I've learned how to do because somebody else knew how to do it already. So, guys, hey, I think we're done. Does anyone have any last questions before we go? Let me double check and make sure that everything that I wanted to talk about. I talked for a long time, so I can't imagine that I missed anything. So get excited, or just mediocre excited, whatever. Bye.